Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martyn Warwick. We're here at the OpenStack Summit 2016 in Barcelona in Spain, and I'm talking with Nick Barcet, who is Senior Director of OpenStack Product Management. Nick, welcome, good to talk to you, nice to meet you. Let's begin by asking you this. There are various iterations of OpenStack, and OpenStack 10 is coming up. What is new there? What's the difference? Who are you addressing? Where are the changes?
As OpenStack is a train, continuous train, releasing every 6 months, it can seem that every release brings a small set of new features. But for us at Red Hat, OpenStack 10 marks a really strong point. First of all, it's the first release which we are going to be marking as a long life release, where customers are going to be able to purchase up to 5 years of support. Second, this is the first release where we believe we've finished the first round of feature development that makes OOO, or as we call it inside of our product, Director, complete. We've introduced the notion of composable role, we've introduced the notion of split stack, functionalities that are now going to allow us to scale OpenStack beyond the 300 node mark. We are also introducing lots of features that have been long delayed because we were not considering them as being stable enough, like distributed virtual routing, or for example, the notion of bare metal as a service. These are great features in a great release. We are also integrating with this release our new pipeline to produce the distribution, which is allowing us to have a much shorter time between upstream availability of the release and our general availability of the product. You'll have the product in your hand 2 months after the upstream release, and we'll get even better in the near future.
Second question to you, Nick. One of the things that's very noticeable in NFV now is with cloudification, network transformation accelerating and so on, is the shift of emphasis away from the data center, corporate and enterprise where it began, and moving over to telecommunications and the telecommunication industry. And of course service providers want a much more robust and strong system than they would pertain necessarily in the data center. Is OpenStack strong enough and flexible enough to provide that?
So first of all, I wouldn't say that the market is shifting from one market to another. We are adding additional markets.
Okay, fair comment.
Of course, the interest of telcos to get away from full proprietary stack and have indiscriminate hardware being used to reproduce all their network function in a virtualized environment fits very well within the OpenStack world, but introduce new requirements. I would say that 90% of those requirements are the requirements of the data center of the future anyway. 10% of them are very specific to either VNF that have not been yet cloudified, scalability, high availability not being their strong point at the moment, or are specific to their SLA requirement, which is a little bit higher than the enterprise. An enterprise typically would be happy with 3.9, 99.9% of availability. They like to have 5 nines. A little harder to get to. But this is not making a new OpenStack. This is forcing us to think on the smartest way to answer these questions with one and only one OpenStack. We are not going to create a carrier grade OpenStack. We are going to stay true to one OpenStack that can serve multiple markets.
Let's look to the future. Where is OpenStack going next? I mean, we've talked about telecoms, and now certainly it's moving into there and is pretty well embedded. Where next? So what we've seen in the first cycle of OpenStack adoption is all the actors that have a strategic interest in running their own data center
adopt OpenStack. This is an interesting market, quite sizable, but a market that has a limited model. If we want to grow the market further, we need to find new ways to deliver OpenStack. And when I say new ways to deliver OpenStack, it's ways where the customer can consume OpenStack without having to worry about the management of OpenStack on a daily basis. Multiple people at this summit are announcing different strategy. We are remaining at Red Hat really true to our strategy, which is to deliver a product that has some functionality to simplify lifecycle management. But this product, we are putting it to market with more and more managed service providers that are going to do the extra mile to isolate the consumer of the API from the management of the infrastructure. An option which I think is going to allow OpenStack to reach maybe 10 times more customers than what we have at the moment.
OpenStack, does what it says on the tin. It's a stack, as we know. There's a lot of talk now about containers. Tell us what containers are, why they're important, and where Red Hat and OpenStack plays into that.
Containers are basically a way to conceive applications and deploy application in a way where each component of the application is isolated from the other. Why do we want to do that? Well, there are some very good reasons in the application lifecycle management where you want to be able to upgrade little component one by one without affecting the other, without having to worry about things like what we call technically dependencies, for example. So there is a real interest from people that develop applications, and very often enterprise customer, telco customer, all types of customer, to use this new model to write their application with. There is a lot of hype because it's a new technology and people love new stuff. It makes you feel that you know stuff that others don't.
So
okay?
True.
So everybody is trying to containerize their offering, whether it is bringing some value to the customer or not. For example, in our case, being the first one at delivering a containerized version of OpenStack, we don't care about because the customer benefit of this is negligible. What our customers are telling us is they want a simple way to deploy the application that they have containerized on top of OpenStack and do that painlessly. And we have the chance at Red Hat to have a great tool to deploy containerized workload on top of OpenStack or any other cloud, as any container solution should be, called OpenShift, which is based on Kubernetes. And with this, we already have multiple customers, 5 of them are public references that anybody can go check on our website, that use OpenShift to deploy containerized application on top of OpenStack. And they have great benefits getting from it. Of course, at some point, OpenStack, which is certainly the most complicated application using the microservice architecture that I know of, is going to be fully containerized even in our offering. But we'll do that, as we always do, in due time. We care very, very much about transitioning our customer softly from one model to another without forcing them to fully redeploy. We want to provide them with a smooth, in-place upgrade path. And to do that correctly, maintaining the level of HA that we have promised to them, maintaining the standard in quality that we are promising to them, yes, it's going to take us a year or two, but when we deliver, we'll deliver with full benefits. We are not just trying to deliver to benefit of a hype cycle.
Excellent. Good to hear. Nick Barcet, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. That was a pleasure.